What is going on, Cardano community? I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Welcome back to the Dapp Central YouTube channel, where I'm joined by Josh from Late Game Crypto for another episode of Cardano Consensus. If it's your guys' first time stopping by the channel, this is going to be a monthly series in which I'll be hosting Josh here on the channel, in which we'll be talking about all of the latest and greatest developments going on within the Cardano ecosystem. Happy Saturday. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm doing fantastic. I look forward to these collabs that we do once a month, and it's nice to connect with like-minded people.
Likewise, I agree. And I recently had an interview with J Crypto, or J Speak, and Subcritical, and that was one of the things that we briefly touched on, was just having more content creator collaboration. So I'm really going to try to do my best here to just kind of up that throughout the entire ecosystem. Again, I do appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me monthly. Now, if it's your guys' first time seeing Josh, go ahead and check out his channel. It's going to be the Late Game Crypto channel, hosted by him, in which he talks about all the latest and greatest when it comes to Cardano DeFi and NFTs. That said, let's quickly touch on some of the topics that we're going to be discussing as a part of today's video. So the first topic is going to be one that's probably on a lot of people's minds right now, which is the recent DEPEG of USDC, which is supposed to be pegged to the US dollar, which has occurred over the course of the last 24 hours. Now, as a part of the story, we're going to be touching on the fact that Coinbase has now paused their USDC transfers. I believe that they said that they should be turning these back on this coming Monday. And then on top of that, there's now more than 3.3 billion in cash reserves stuck in the Silicon Valley Bank, which has just collapsed. Now, after that, we're going to talk a little bit about how this could be impacting DJED, which is now at a collateral ratio of 410%, which is the lowest that it's ever been since it's come on the Cardano network. Now, into the second topic for today, we're going to be talking about CNFT liquidity and how it seems that we are now hitting some new lows when it comes to trading volume in the Cardano NFT market. That said, and something that's actually quite interesting is the fact that we now have DeFi, right, within Cardano hitting an all-time high when it comes to TVL. So it seems like people might be rotating out of NFTs and moving over into DeFi as that begins to kind of mature within our space. The third topic we're going to talk about for today is going to be the growing multi-chain narrative. And if you guys are not aware, we recently saw Genius X announce a partnership or integration of the Polygon or Matic network, as well as World Mobile, Meld, IMX, Book.io, and Paribus, all making announcements surrounding multi-chain adoption. After that, we're going to do a brief project spotlight in which we'll be talking about the Knights Guild in Cornucopias, the Goombles NFT mint, and the highly anticipated Citizens of the Ape Society NFT mint. Following that, we will be interviewing Subcritical, who's going to be a pretty well-known person throughout the Twitter space. And we're going to be having him on here to talk about his recently started YouTube channel and exactly what he plans on contributing to the growing Cardano ecosystem. So make sure to stay tuned and make sure to check out that interview there at the very end, highlighting up-and-coming Cardano content creators. That said, Josh, are you ready to talk about the first topic, which is going to be the USDC DEPEG?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, so let me go ahead and quickly share my screen here. We're going to jump into our first CoinDesk article, highlighting the fact that Coinbase has now paused conversions between USDC and their US dollar. So I'm not going to be able to read this entire article here for you guys, but I've got a few sections highlighted, starting with the very first few sentences. So it reads here, Coinbase hit the brakes on conversions between USDC stablecoin and the US dollar late Friday night as fallout from Silicon Valley Bank's or SIVB's collapse spread into the heart of crypto trading. Moving down a little bit further, it reads, the pause speaks to the chaos that roiled the crypto industry's second largest stablecoin in the wake of Silicon Valley Bank's demise on Friday. Speculating on the stability of USDC, traders redeemed 1.6 billion of USDC, lowering its total supply. Moving into the next paragraph, and this is going to be the last piece that I'm going to highlight here. Late in the day, Circle confirmed that 3.3 billion of their 40 billion backing, its stablecoin was on the deposit at now the shuttered SVIB Bank, or the Silicon Valley Bank. The fate of that cash is now uncertain, with Silicon Valley Bank having been seized by the FDIC, and USDC, for the moment, has lost its dollar peg. So I know that that was a lot there to probably digest, but hopefully that makes sense to the viewers. Josh, what are your thoughts about the article here, the 3.3 billion that may potentially be lost, and just what has been going on over the course of the last 24 hours?
It's chaos. It's nothing that we haven't seen multiple times over in the past like year and a half to 2 years. So, at this point, it's I feel like it's something that a lot of us are used to by this point. The thing though is that it's centralized entities that are failing. It's not decentralized protocols that are screwing up here. And this is this is what crypto is all about. It's about figuring out decentralized solutions so that this kind of thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was listening to a few live streams yesterday, and some people were saying that this is basically reminiscent of what we saw with the UST or the Terra Luna crash, right? In which we basically saw that get depegged, and that went from $1 to zero in almost a matter of 48 hours. Now, one thing that I want to mention here that is going to be significantly different is the actual backing of the asset here. So the way that UST was backed was not similar, or is not similar to how USDC is going to be backed by Circle. We've also heard Circle and Coinbase basically say that they are willing to add additional funds to make sure, or to ensure the stability of the USDC peg. Now, I do want to jump over into Twitter here and to take a look at a recent tweet that was just posted by Coinbase. And so that reads, "We are temporarily pausing USDC to USD conversions over the weekend while banks are closed. During periods of heightened activity, conversions rely on USD transfers from the banks that clear during normal banking hours. When banks open on Monday, we plan to recommence conversions." This is a big red flag to me, Josh. I don't know what you think about this, but for this bank to close, or for this bank to go under on a Friday, and then that very same evening, Coinbase says we're going to now be pausing USDC transfers due to heightened activity. I'm not sure if this is a liquidity issue that they're having that they're maybe trying to mask with this announcement, but it does raise a lot of alarms for me personally. So what's your take on this tweet here from Coinbase?
Well, Coinbase is in the hot seat right now because like 3 months ago, they were directly encouraging people to swap their their tether into USDC. So like, yesterday, Coinbase was encouraging people to move this direction, and then all of a sudden it goes under. So they've really got to cover their tracks here. I don't think that this is something that they were aware of that was going to happen, but um, this is the whole risk of centralized entities. This is when when you have direct one-to-one dollar pegging. In terms of treasury value, it's safer because the value is pretty protected. The reserve that you have is directly correlated to the asset that you're trying to back. So that's the advantage there, but this is the disadvantage. The disadvantage is the centralized risk to it, of having to trust a third party and hoping that they don't go under like what happened here. So
Right. And for anybody who's watching this, definitely make sure to get your assets off of decentralized exchanges. I actually had to walk through an exercise yesterday in getting my assets off of KuCoin. Now, it wasn't the majority of my assets, but I did still have some assets on there. So I just want to just kind of go a little bit off topic here and just kind of highlight a lot of the actions that we've seen over the course of the last few weeks. We saw some interesting action against BUSD, in which we saw, I think Paxos, who's like the creator of BUSD, or the person that funds BUSD, basically get told to stop printing BUSD. And so that's going to now be coming out of support. We're now seeing this issue with USDC. We've also seen the SEC come against Kraken, as well as yesterday, or I think maybe 2 days ago, we saw the state of New York begin to go after KuCoin as well, right? And so there's a lot of different bits of information that are all just kind of coming together, culminating into, I think, a pretty big red week for the entire crypto space. That said, again, this is a reminder for me personally to not keep any of my assets within centralized exchanges, right? Because you don't know who's going to be getting hit next, and you don't know who actually has liquidity issues until it's too late, right? When the doors are shut, that's when you find out, okay, hey, well, this person actually had issues all along, while they may have been saving face throughout the entire process. So those are just a few things that I wanted to mention. Again, it has been a little bit choppy here when it comes to stable coins, but I also want to highlight the fact that within Cardano, we recently had a brand new stable coin come on the market as well, right? So that's DJED, which launched, I believe, at the very beginning or at the very end of January, depending on how you want to look at it. But since then, there's been more than $12 million locked into this protocol. That said, it appears that DJED might also be feeling some of the FUD being caused by USDC. But before I get into that, I'm just going to just quickly jump over here into my next chart, which is highlighting the fact that the USD coin right now is trading at 92 cents. Again, if you guys are not aware, this is supposed to be pegged to $1 at all times. So if you have a US dollar, you should be able to trade that in for 1 USDC, and vice versa. If you hold 1 USD coin, you should be able to convert that back over to a single dollar. So anybody who's currently holding USDC is technically facing a 7 to 8% loss right now on all of their assets due to something that is actually not in their control. So again, Josh, anything that you maybe want to weigh in on here surrounding the DPEG before we kind of switch gears and jump into DJED and how that's being impacted as well?
No, I'm looking forward to talking about DJED. Let's jump there.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out here on this peg. Again, it is unfortunate if you guys hold any USD or USDC. It is a tough decision that you have to make right now, especially given that some of these platforms don't even allow for us to kind of jump in or out of the token. But I would definitely make sure to, watch your positions. And if you have the ability to get out of it, I personally would be getting out of it, but I am not in the business of telling you guys what to do with your assets. We're just here to raise the news and talk about it. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into DJED and talk about how DJED is potentially being impacted by this FUD as well. So I'm here on the official DJED website, which is accessible by going to jed.xyz. And at the very top, we can see right now that the price of a single DJED token is worth 3.29 ADA. A single Shen token, which is the reserve token, is valued right now at 1.04 ADA. And if we take a look at the very bottom reserve there, wow, this is impressive, Josh. Before we started to shoot this video, the Shen reserve ratio was at 420%. About 15 or so minutes ago, it had dropped to about 410%. And right now, as I'm looking at it here, it's at 406%. So if this continues to drop by an additional 6%, once we get to 400%, there will no longer be the ability to actually burn Shen. So that ability will be turned off, and you will not be able to mint any more DJED because there's not going to be enough collateral in the reserves to support that 400% ratio. So this is going to be a first, I believe, since the official launch of DJED. Josh, what's your take on this?
This is markets being markets. People acting irrationally. The reality is that the risk between these two, USDC and DJED, it's completely separated. They're not at all correlated. It's simply the fact that they both have the title stablecoin in it that I'm sure people are reacting to. The USDC risk, and this is something that Cody, the producers of DJED, was explicit about. The risk between centralized entities is that you have to trust a third party to host and hold your assets safely. And in that case, that risk failed here in USDC. And DJED isn't completely risk free, but it doesn't have that same risk. There's no regulatory entity that is you're having to trust in order to handle it. It's all handled by a decentralized protocol, and they are increasingly decentralized. I think they haven't reached their full final form yet, but um, yeah, I'm enthusiastic about DJED after this, simply because it's a completely different framework.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you make there in the sense that you are right. Jet is going to be non custodial, it's going to be run by smart contracts. And so there is no third party risk there. And one thing that I do also want to add is that this is just going to be a test of the protocol, right? Like this is going to have to happen sooner or later for us to actually make sure that it's working. I'm not sure if you recall, but I definitely do, that we had hit the reserve ratio going to 800 when it first minted, right? Because there was just so much hype. A lot of people wanted to get the Shen token to see exactly what the rewards are going to be like, etc. And so at that point, we had almost too much collateral to where we couldn't mint any more Shen. So it was the exact opposite of what we're about to be facing now very shortly when we hit the 400% collateral threshold. And so again, I think that this is an opportunity for us to learn and an opportunity for Jet to kind of make a name for itself, right? Like how will the community, number one, feel about this? Because again, if you're holding Shen and you're trading it on maybe, for example, something like MinSwap, you can still kind of get in and out of it. But for anybody who's actually going to the official Jet website and looking to mint brand new Shen, you will be able to do that, but you're not going to be able to burn any of your Shen once we hit that 400 collateral ratio. Similarly, you're not going to be able to mint any more Jet once we hit 400 because there's not going to be enough collateral to support it. So I'm showing that graphic here for the community. I know that this was something that took a little bit of time for me to kind of understand. But again, now that we're seeing this kind of play out, I'll definitely keep keeping an eye on it here moving forward. Any closing thoughts or comments here on this, Josh?
I think I might want to settle people's expectations, because I think a lot of the way things went down early on in the beginning, where the collateral reserve ratio of JED went up to 800%. I was expecting that to happen, and it probably isn't likely that it would happen again until a like mega bull market situation. But the fact that we're holding above 400% and that we've held it for a good couple of months now, I think is was a little surprising to me. But given the bear market conditions, like I don't think we should expect to stay regularly above that 400% reserve ratio. It's not unlikely that we see anywhere as low as maybe 200, 250% collateral reserve ratio. And that's not going to reflect in the price of JED. The price of JED is still gonna remain and hold above $1. That's how the mechanism was built. It's supposed to resist bear market conditions. It's supposed to resist black swan events. Um, and yeah, I don't know, might be a good time to pick up some Shen. I know I'll be looking at it.
Yeah, interesting take on that. Now, I do want to just kind of move things along very quickly here and just highlight the fact that the Cody team recently released an article highlighting how Jet is now also being incorporated into Liquid. So, Liquid Labs is going to be a lending and borrowing protocol on Cardano that launched, I want to say, within the actual same week that we saw Jet come online. So that was an interesting launch. Now, after their launch, they had a little bit of turmoil, right? They had some issues. They essentially had to pause the protocol and they were able to fix some bugs before anybody was actually able to exploit them. That aside, what we're now seeing is a new use case for JED on the Liquid protocol. So if you guys hold JED, you can now actually go ahead and take that JED and you can either lend or borrow JED on Liquid Finance. That said, I believe that you'll be able to earn rewards. And so I just wanted to highlight that there. And in closing here, and we'll kind of turn it back over to you, Josh, I do also want to mention that the first set of Shen token rewards have now gone out. So every 4 or 5 epochs, the Shen holders will be receiving ADA staking rewards as well as mint and burn fees from people actually using the Jet platform. So if you guys have not already earned or have not already checked exactly how much of the Shen token rewards that you have earned by holding Shen, you can actually head over to the official Jet website and they've got a full page dedicated to that. But any last comments or closing thoughts that you want to add here, Josh, surrounding Jet and the recent USDC FUD that we're seeing right now within the market?
No, this is positioning Jed in a pretty good place. We're still small and nobody is paying attention to us in that area, but um, Cody and IOG have done a fantastic job of designing and developing the infrastructure for the direction that this is going, the utilities and use case that this particular token will have, both within the ecosystem and in real life. So yeah, this is it's not a great day for crypto, but it's a pretty solid bit of news coming for Jed. So
Agreed. And I'll definitely be keeping my eye out on that market. As we kind of fluctuate up and down there, I'll probably release additional videos on the channel highlighting exactly what is going on. But that is going to do it there for that main topic again here, the USDC DEPEG and the lowering of the collateral ratio for the JED protocol. Now let's switch gears into the second topic for today, which is going to be discussing CNFT liquidity. So I'm now jumping over into opencnft.io, and I'm going to go ahead and just quickly take a look at their market here. And I'm actually going to get the both of us here out of the way so we can actually see the full screen. Now, if I jump back here and I click on the all section here, or the all option, we can actually take a look at the entire crypto market, or the entire CNFT market here, Josh. And so we can see that at about the time where we had CNFTCon, which was around the October-November timeframe, we hit an all-time high in terms of trading volume, which was right over 4 million ADA, or around those weeks. Since then, we can see that there's been a quite sharp decrease, and we're now, over the course of the last 2 weeks, not able to get over 1 million ADA being traded. So it is interesting. I know that for a few of the collections that I normally watch, I have not been seeing as much trading activity. So I can definitely say that I feel this liquidity crunch. It's not just a visual here that we're looking at, but like looking at the actual NFTs themselves, I'm not seeing as many buys. I'm still seeing a lot of people trying to list NFTs, but they're just kind of sitting there on the market. So have you kind of felt this, Josh? And like, what are your thoughts and takes here on this decreasing amount of liquidity given the bear market?
I mean, this is the ebbs and flows of bear market conditions. Things go up, things go down. I'm not worried about the long term of what NFTs are going to look like, because this isn't anything that we haven't seen before in this bear market as well. So yeah, we're at a lower position right now, but I haven't really noticed much of it, simply because my strategy is long term. So I'm holding a bunch of NFTs that I like a lot, that have strong fundamentals, that are gonna be here in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think that's one thing that you have to have now is strong conviction. If you don't have the strong conviction, when times get tough like this, you really think about getting out, and you kind of start to panic, right? So that's one thing I would just kind of say is having strong conviction and making sure that you're investing in NFTs that you really have a lot of belief in. And so that's what I've been doing throughout this entire time too. And I'm also not a flipper. I'm not sure about your take on NFTs, but I hold, or I buy NFTs for the long term. And so while this has been a little bit brutal, again, my mindset is being able to capitalize on these NFTs, 2 or 3 years from now, when we've got another bull market and things kind of heat back up and we get a lot of the attention that we once had back into this space. Now, I know that we're talking about some pretty down news. I do also want to mention, though, that we've got some new marketplaces coming online, right? So let's kind of talk a little bit about those as well. Now, in my prior videos, I talked about Plutus.art, which is going to be a brand new NFT marketplace that just came online, giving JPEG Store a little bit of competition. What are your thoughts, Josh, as to them coming online, Flipper.io coming online, and even JPEG Store themselves, right? Now adding collection features, and then also potentially dropping a JPEG.store token. It seems like, again, that we're in the bear, but we're still seeing people build.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's the thing with bear markets is fundamentals are constantly increasing, and things are getting better. Like there's more stuff to use, there's more things to do, there's more utilities added, but prices are still going down because that's just how the markets are acting. It's exciting to see more marketplaces coming up. JPEG Store still regularly captures like 99% of the market share, but with good reason, because they've just launched language localization, so they're looking at a global audience, while most of the market is still kind of stuck in the English sphere. And They're dropping their own token, which they have hinted relentlessly, and I have no clue what it's gonna do or like what how they're gonna distribute it or anything like that. So yeah, there's still a lot of exciting stuff coming up right around the corner, and these other marketplaces that are popping up, they're bringing in some really interesting, cool features and smooth experiences. So you know, things are developing, things are moving forward, things are looking up, just not price wise.
Right, right. And I think that's something we have to get used to. It's not always going to be up and to the right. There are times where things are not going to go our way. But again, it's the belief that we have and the longevity that we also have to have here when it comes to our mindset. So I'm not going anywhere. Things might not be looking good right now, but I know that they will pick back up. And I believe in the tech. I think that's the biggest thing is understanding the tech and understanding exactly what we're here for and just not forgetting that vision, man. I know that when the prices go down, people kind of turn bearish. They get a little negative. But I think surrounding yourself with good company and just having that positive outlook does make a difference. That said, on the JPEG Store token, man, I'm waiting to kind of see what's going to be happening. There's just been so many hints, but we haven't actually gotten anything yet. So I'll be keeping my eyes and ears glued to the ground. As soon as we get more information there, I'll make sure to keep the community updated. Now, that was one half of the conversation here for the second topic, which was the CNFT liquidity, which appears to kind of be drying up. Now, on the other half, though, we have something completely different when it comes to DeFi. And that is the fact that DeFi has now hit an all time high when it comes to Cardano ADA being locked on the network. So I'm going to quickly pull up DeFi Llama here. And what we're going to see is that I want to say this was back in what? In March of 2022, we had hit an all time high of about $314 million, or excuse me, 314 million ADA locked on the network. And that currently has now passed that up, and we're now somewhere at around 333 million ADA locked on the network. In terms of the actual leaders, MinSwap, which I think rightly deserves being number one in the space, currently holds 37 million US dollars locked. Indigo at number two with $16 million locked. Wing Riders at number three with 15 or almost $16 million locked. And then JED with 10.3 million. After that, we've got a few other dexes. We got Liquid and a few other platforms that will be coming online very, very soon. So what's your take on this, Josh, and the potential rotation that we might be seeing here when it comes to CNFT liquidity jumping into DeFi now?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, so DeFi before this year was practically non-existent on Cardano, and still testing, still developing. And now all of a sudden, there's DeFi protocols left and right that are popping up. So of course, people are going to run to use them, especially given the strength of the Cardano community. These are still baby numbers in my mind. Like this is nothing. This is not a huge deal, but now it's there and now it can be used. So that's where the TVL is coming from.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Um, I think this is the first iteration, and we're going to continue to see more protocols launch, and we're going to see more of them begin to be upgraded. So it's been a while since we've been kind of just sitting on the sideline waiting for these protocols to come online. But now that they're finally here and next you have use cases, I think people are trying to take advantage of that and earn that additional yield right now, as there's not really much else to really be doing, again, given the bear market situations. And so we have now Liquid, we've got Meld on the test net that just went public, and we've got Paribus that should be launching here on the main net very, very soon. Those are just three of, I think, many additional protocols that will be coming online. But like, what are your thoughts on, what to look out for? Are there any projects that you're kind of excited about? What progress has got you interested?
That gosh, I don't think we have that much time. Of course, I'm looking forward to Meld
Mm-hmm.
above everything. They are so forward thinking. And yeah, it's that there's a lot to look forward to, a lot of features that they're going to bring to the table. I on the NFT side, I'm looking forward to Lending Pond that was one of the first services on the on in the ecosystem. We've got Fluid Tokens that has been making big moves and really innovating their platform. They've got a ISPO coming up real soon. Yeah, I could rant forever. There are so many protocols that are going to be launching this year. This year is going to be a huge year for Cardano. There's going to be a ton of stuff to use. There's going to be a bunch of different protocols that are developing innovative, creative things that other people aren't offering. It's extraordinarily exciting. Like we said before, fundamentals are increasing, use cases is increasing. It's real exciting over here at Cardano, and just because the price doesn't reflect that, things are getting better, doesn't mean that they're not. So that's what I'm excited about.
Very well said. Very well said. And that's actually going to be an ISPO that I'm going to be looking forward to, is the Fluid Tokens one. I know that they just released all the stake pool operators that will be added as a part of the community for that. And so, yeah, that's just one of the projects that I'm looking forward to. Now, let's go ahead and just kind of close that topic out. So we've kind of talked about CNFT liquidity, and we talked about DeFi hitting an all-time high. The next topic that we've got here before we jump into our project spotlight is going to be the growing multi-chain narrative. So if you guys in the community are not aware, we've got a lot of top projects here over the course of the last few months that have basically said that they are going to be expanding into other networks outside of Cardano. Again, here, nothing wrong with Cardano. I think there's a lot of development going on. But if we're going to be honest, the liquidity compared to some of these other blockchains is a little bit lacking, right? We take a look at Ethereum, we take a look at Polygon, Avalanche, like they're all in the multi-millions. And Cardano is like on its way up. Again, our DeFi ecosystem is a lot newer, which makes sense. I think that as it grows and as it ages and as we get more protocols, we're going to see a much more robust TVL and a much more robust ecosystem with adoption on Cardano. That said, I think some of these projects are kind of looking outside of Cardano right now to kind of take advantage of that liquidity while also kind of getting their names out there into the growing ecosystem. And so let me quickly share my screen here. And this is going to be an announcement that was just made by Genius X. If you guys are not familiar with Genius X, they're going to be a launchpad platform with an accelerator built on Cardano. And they've now announced that they're going to be partnering or collaborating with the Polygon or the Matic network. Now, Polygon is going to be operating as a layer 2 on Ethereum, operating using the EVM or the Ethereal Virtual Machine. So this is just one project here. We've also got, though, World Mobile, which has announced that their ISI chain will be built using the Cosmos SDK sidechain. We've also got Meld, which Josh and I are pretty familiar with, that recently announced that they're also going to be going multi-chain with their own Meld sidechain on Avalanche. On top of that, they plan on being supported, I think, on BSC and a few other blockchains. So that's just 3 protocols there. We've also got IMX, which is going to be a decentralized identity solution being built on Cardano, but looking to also leverage other blockchains. And then we've got Book.io, which recently had its first book sale on Ethereum. And so again, this is just, I think, the beginning. But what are your thoughts, Josh, as to why these platforms are doing this and what the potential benefits could be?
These are all such forward-thinking, top-tier projects that really, really show some conviction for the future of cryptocurrency. And many people like myself that are really decentralization thinking are of the mindset that multi-chain is the future of cryptocurrency. And the idea there is the seamlessness of it, that mass adoption comes when people don't even know that they're using cryptocurrency, that it's just an easily accessible thing that they can go to and use without having to have some kind of a technical knowledge to it. But before we can establish that seamlessness of making it just easy to use, we first have to establish that cross-chain connections, and that's what this is. It's the first steps to the future of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear that, and I completely agree with you. I think that as these ecosystems grow, we're going to start to see them really interconnect. And I want to say that Cardano is just kind of like a late bloomer in general, because a lot of these other ecosystems are already kind of interacting with each other. And it seems like Cardano's kind of playing catch up again, kind of being the new kid on the block and just taking that slower, more methodical approach, which I think will pay off in the long run. And so, unless you've got any other closing comments here, I think we'll kind of wrap up this particular growing multi-chain narrative here, and we're going to
Yep.
switch over and talk about our project spotlight.
Let's do it.
All right, so moving into topic number 4 for today's Cardano consensus. As a part of the project spotlight, our job here is just to kind of talk about some up and coming protocols or up and coming projects in the space. And the first one that we're going to be touching on is actually going to be a guild being built within the Cornucopias metaverse. If you guys watch my channel or even Josh's channel, then I'm sure you guys have definitely heard of Cornucopias before. If not, they're going to be a metaverse being built using Unreal Engine 5 native to Cardano. That said, we've got, I think, 3 prominent guilds, or at least 2 prominent guilds that I'm aware of, with a third up and coming one. The first is going to be the Knights Guild. We've also got the Corn Mafia, and then we've got Tunnel Vision, which I'm actually going to be interviewing as well here on my channel very soon. That said, the Knights Guild recently had their Gauntlet NFT sale. This is going to be an NFT that was listed as a part of their Knights NFT series, which we already saw the shield, the helmet, and I believe the sword already come up for minting. So this was the latest NFT that sold. And I think it sold out actually. So congratulations to all the Knights. But Josh is actually a Knight too, right? So give us your take on how this actually went down. You know, what was the experience and what was the sentiment like surrounding this NFT sale?
Yeah. I'm a part of the leadership team over at the Knights Guild, and going into this mint, we knew that this was gonna be a big one. And it was so impressive to me that it sold out in a matter of days, within a week. It They were the sellout, and that's incredibly impressive to do in a bear market. When CNFT volume is at an all-time low, when people aren't excited about NFTs, like people are coming and they're excited about things that the Knights Guild is doing, and rightfully so. There's a lot of talent behind the team. There's a ton of forethought, forward thinking, and development happening in the background there. Um, yeah, the Knights Gauntlet NFTs are supposed to represent a another round of purchasing Cornucopias land NFTs, and that process has been going phenomenally. We've been collaborating with the community. There's been a lot of solid deals being struck up, and the funds are being used incredibly efficiently. I think even a little bit more so than was planned and anticipated. And yeah, once Cornucopias launches, the Knights Guild is going to be a force to reckon with.
I completely agree. I literally, it's funny you say that. I just got off of an interview with Moody Hound, who I'm sure you're familiar with. He's one of the founders of the guild. But we talked for an hour and he talked about so much. He talked about the guild structure, how to become a knight, company X, and just the broader reach that this community has outside of just the actual game itself. And so I was highly impressed. And I'm actually going to be editing that video here throughout this weekend. And I'll have this out hopefully early next week. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely check out the channel. But I do appreciate Josh giving us the rundown there on that. Now, I do also want to mention, just speaking generally about Cornucopias, we should be expecting, I believe, their MVP, right, as a part of Q2 of this year. So I'm sure, Josh, you signed up to be a tester. I've already done that. I'm waiting, man. And hopefully we both get selected because I know you'll be creating content about it. I'll definitely be creating content about it. But things are finally coming to fruition. If you guys have not already checked out their latest March update, I would definitely go ahead and check that out, man. This team does not miss any details, man. What are your thoughts on that?
It's the thing that I'm most looking forward to this year, practically. It is it's a new landscape of economic interactivity, the ability to connect with people uh, directly, in business. It's never been seen before. The way that this is going down, and all of the details that they've released. They recently said that all of the leaks that they've put out, all the information they have on the Kopi Wiki and the Discord and the website, it's just a fraction of everything that they have going on in the background, and I believe it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I believe that as well. Again, when you just take a look at their slide decks, their NFTs, their communication, even the Kopi Cafe. Everything they do is high quality, and that's what we need to start seeing more of in this space. Projects showing us while they're building, what they're building, and just really keeping solid communications all the way throughout. All right, let's go ahead and just move over into the next two project spotlights that we're going to be talking about, which are both going to be NFT collections. So we're going to kind of keep these a little quick, and then we're going to jump over into our interview with Subcritical. So the first project that I want to talk about here, I'm jumping over into jpeg.store, is going to be the Goombles NFT. So if you guys are not familiar with the Goombles NFT, this is going to be founded by Farmer Nash, who I believe actually came from Ethereum, and he decided to kind of mint and build his community here on Cardano. Now, he and wob.eth, I think, got a lot of flack when they first came over into the space because of how they decided to do it. They were really engagement farming, causing a lot of drama, but in the end, I think they've been really accepted here within the space. So this was a highly anticipated NFT collection. And just kind of reading the description here, it says, indulge in the sweet times life has to offer. Goombles are delicious and lovable candies that come in a variety of flavors, shapes, and sizes. Goombles act as your all-access pass to everything in the Goombles ecosystem. So, Josh, I will have to say I'm not an expert when it comes to Goombles. I did see a lot of their whitelist spots go out for sale, but can you kind of give us a little bit of background as to what the Goombles project is?
Yeah, the Goombles project is a very principled team. They come at it and they're very clearly not interested in making a quick buck and getting rich off of the hype of making money and stuff. They're not interested in that. They're very clearly building something that is going to be accessible to a lot of people. And if you've ever been a fan of games like tower defense games, Bloons as an example, Bloons TD6 was one that I was really into when that got big. It's a tower defense game that will be accessible through mobile. That'll be something that people can just play, and maybe there will be play to earn features of that, but they're not committing to that because the point is not to make money. The point is not to get rich off of this crypto world. The point is to develop use case and create a case study for how Web3 games should be built. And I think they're leading the way on that one. So they're doing a great job.
Awesome breakdown there. Awesome breakdown. Jumping back in real quick, I want to take a look at some of the stats. I'm a numbers guy. So they've got a total of 5,000 NFTs with a total of 1,700 owners. And the floor price is currently trading at about 246 ADA with over 20% being listed. Now that 20% is relatively high, but I do have to say it's a brand new collection. I wouldn't expect a lot of, people holding till the end right now, like we see with some other collections that have been out on the market over the course of the last 6 to 9 months. That said, they did raise a pretty nice amount here when it comes to ADA volume being traded, which is currently sitting at 1.34 million ADA. Any project that makes it over the 1 million hump, I got to give them credit, especially right now, as we just talked about, the liquidity is super thin, right? And so for them to be able to come out in the middle of a bear market, especially when it comes to CNFTs, and still be able to raise 1 million ADA in terms of trading volume, I think in my eyes is a job well done. So any closing comments here on Goombles?
I think that does it. They've got more coming out, and I'm really excited to see what kind of information comes out of this project. I like the direction they're headed. Like I said, it's a principled team, and I really respect their approach, and I think that's why they're going to make it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, moving into the next project spotlight. This is going to be the Ape Society. Now, we have talked about this team before here on this channel. And if you guys are not aware, let me just jump back over here into jpeg.store. They're going to be releasing a NFT collection of 7,000 apes, which has already been released. But they've also got a collection of 10,000 cabins. Now, what we're going to be talking more about today is the fact that they're going to be announcing their Citizens of the Ape Society NFT mint, or COTAS. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. COTAS or COTAS. Anyway, I think you guys get the point here. That's what that stands for. Now, the mint date is supposed to be set for March 16th of 2023, with the cost of each of these NFTs at $99. So I assume they'll probably be taking the price or the valuation of ADA at the time of the mint there, just to kind of give the community an idea as to what the actual ADA value is. When it comes to the supply, there's going to be a total of 10,000 of these NFTs. Now, that said, I don't think that we've actually gotten any sneak peeks of these NFTs, and there really hasn't been that much information surrounding the citizens of the Ape Society NFT mint. So I wanted to bring this up here, but Josh, are you aware of anything else that I may not necessarily be privy to?
I don't think so. I mean, the Ape Society is one of those projects that I have huge respect for. I really like the direction that they've gone, what they've built. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I'm not actually a part of it in any way. I don't own any of their NFTs. So I'm not coming at it with any bias here. But yeah, I'm interested. I think they're incredibly creative. So I am interested to see what this particular collection launch is going to be about.
Yeah, likewise. I know that they're trying to do more than just these traditional projects here. I think they've got like a launch pad. Um, they've got like a DAO. They've got just so much going on here. Again, I can't name everything off the top of my head, but I know that they're trying to just really kind of set the standard when it comes to how projects should operate. So another one here to be on the lookout for, but that is going to bring us, I think, to the end of today's show, in which we've talked about USDC and how that could potentially be impacting JED. We've also talked about CNFT liquidity kind of shrinking over the course of the last few months, as well as the continuing rise in DeFi. And then we just talked about some of the project spotlights, which included the Knights Guild, Goombles NFT, the Ape Society, as well as we briefly touched on the growing multi-chain narrative. At this time, Josh, unless you've got any closing comments or thoughts, I think we'll bring on Subcritical and kind of get to know him a little bit better.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And as promised, we've got Subcritical here for our content creator interview. Sub, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
Good to have you on, man. Now, what we want to do is just kind of just pick your brain, get to know you a little bit better here. You've been in the Cardano community for quite a bit of time, and I've been following you on Twitter for, I want to say, as long as I can remember. So you're a pretty big name when it comes to Twitter. How did you come into the space, and just give us a little bit of background about what you do for Cardano, man?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just messing around with crypto, and then for some reason I kind of clicked with the Cardano community, and then I kind of just stuck around and kept like making more connections, meeting people, went to a few events, and then I don't know, I just kind of stuck around, and that's just what I've been doing now.
Got it. Are you enjoying what you do? Because I think you do a little bit more of education surrounding DeFi, right?
Yeah, so a lot of the things I focus on is more DeFi, which I was hoping would have taken off a long time ago, but it took a lot longer than anybody anticipated because we were all like, smart contracts will be here. And then shortly after, all these protocols will come online. And then it took like a year before anything really came online to use.
Yeah, I think that's with not just DeFi, but I think that's with just any project, right? Like NFTs, metaverses. I think when the bull run was here, everybody was excited. Everybody thought that everything would be built overnight. Even the adoption of like the Vassal hard fork smart contracts, people are like, oh, the Vassal hard fork is here. We're going to start to see all these updates. And even now, there's only just a few platforms that really taking advantage of that. So if I've learned anything over the course of the last like year, it's just to be extremely patient in that all this stuff takes a long, long time to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that because there were a lot of the times, even like when you go to like the summit or things like that, and people are just like, yeah, this is going to come here soon. And a lot of the devs would be like, no, it's going to be a lot longer than people are anticipating. And I think that's kind of what's been weird to me is like, I try to voice a thing where I'm like, hey, maybe this isn't going to happen as soon as we think, but people are like, no, it's coming soon. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, and patience is key in this space. I think this is the first time that you and I have had any like face-to-face time. So first of all, I just gotta say I have incredible respect for everything that you do. And I've followed you for a long time. I'm super jealous of all of the creators that get a chance to work with you and connect with you. So thank you for what you do. What I'm interested in is who you are just as a person in your everyday life outside of crypto. That's the kind of stuff that I think people don't get to see, and I'm interested why you do what you do. How you ended up here, and what kind of interests uh, outside of crypto that made you align with this. Tell us your story.
Yeah, so I think it just all goes to like, I think a lot of people get into crypto for the same reason, right? Like I grew up with not a lot of money, with a family that, didn't have money to spend on really anything. And I've gotten to a point in my life where I finally have the money to invest and think about my finances in a different way. And obviously crypto is one way of thinking outside of the regular banking industry. Whereas I do still have my 401k and all this other boomer stuff. But thinking into the future of like, how can I own my own assets? Why can't I just loan money to my neighbor with like a smart contract instead of having to go to a bank to work that out for me when we're seeing like banks collapse because they're taking all of our money and going and doing crazy stuff with it. Uh, I don't know. So all that really interests me, and that's kind of how I got into this crypto journey. But outside of here, I'm just normal like anybody else. I like to go snowboarding. I like to watch anime. I like to play video games. I just hang out. But I'm going on this crypto journey, and I've just kind of been documenting it. That's kind of what my Twitter had always been. Um, Anything I'm posting is me learning how to do it, and then I show the steps of like that process in my brain, and then it kind of clicked with other people, and I was like, all right, I guess I can do these in tandem.
That's super cool, and I think you're in the right space for all that. You've been doing great work. I see the Denketsu comic in your background there. I'm a big fan of them too. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's cool. That's dope.
Now, you did also recently attend CNFT Con and Rare Bloom, right? Where you and I did get to meet. We got to really kind of chop it up there with Jay Speak as well. And you guys recently brought me onto your podcast. So not only did you already kind of establish yourself when it comes to Twitter, right? But you then kind of took that next step and you dove into the YouTube world. So what kind of spurred that transition, and how have you found that experience to be compared to Twitter?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I've obviously been making all this like content on Twitter, and I figured like, let's see if I can transition that over into YouTube. And it's different. It's definitely a different format, obviously, like being in front of a camera and doing those things, and especially editing and like looking at your stuff and listening to yourself is like really weird, like to me, as I'm more of a person that's always taken in content rather than created content. So that part of it is strange. But I mean, there is a fun feel of it where it feels like a lot of what I did already translated. It's almost like I was writing a script anyways when you're writing like something on Twitter, because it has to be easy to read and get points across quickly. And that's like bullet points pretty much when you're making a video. So they do kind of go together a little bit.
Yeah, I can definitely see how your knowledge from Twitter has translated over into YouTube. One of the things that I appreciate about your content are some of your deep dive threads where, like you said, you learned about something and then you kind of share that with the community through a thread. And I think that's probably where you found the most success, right? I think around the time of the launch of JED, right? There was just so much education that was needed in the community. And I think the way that you kind of package some of that information surrounding how that protocol works really resonated with the community. So again, I want to echo what Josh said here, man. I think what you do is really awesome. And being an educator is something that is needed more than ever right now in the space, right? Especially during the bear time where a lot of people have extra time to, look around and actually learn. I think people like yourself are needed in this space. Now, let's just kind of quickly talk about some of the projects that, you cover. Just maybe pick your brain a little bit, and then I'll turn it over to Josh if he's got any other questions about what you do here. But Josh and I were just talking about the fact that JED, the collateral ratio, has been dropping quite significantly given the recent FUD that we saw with USDC. I'm sure you're probably aware, right? USDC has recently depegged, but we were talking about how this is really the first test for JED coming into that 400% collateral ratio. And so I kind of want to ask you, because again, this is something you understand very well, but like, what are your thoughts surrounding this? Should people be worried about what's going on? Is this normal? Is this expected? Like, what are your thoughts surrounding that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to watch, right? When we get to the 400%, and if it keeps, going lower, depending on what the price of ADA does. This is the first battle test. I think I just put out a tweet too, where like we're all watching this to see like, is it going to hold up? Because we've seen issues before with different stable coins, and this one actually has that reserve ratio from 400 to 800%. It does have a little bit of a different mechanism than what we've seen, but to Shen holders is what it's going to come down to, is like, are they going to be scared of this and be like, you know what? I can't trade my Shen right now, but I can go on a DEX and I can swap it and get rid of it. So we could see the price of Shen be way different than what it is inside of the JED protocol. So that's what I'm going to be watching today and kind of seeing if people are getting scared out of their Shen positions.
Wow, it's funny that you mentioned that. That I want to say is almost word for word what Josh and I had explained to each other earlier when we were chatting. And so I think all of us will be keeping an eye on that there. But like you did also say, it's the first real battle test. So I'm excited to see how it pans out, and hopefully it turns into a moment of respect if it is able to last, right? But this has to happen sooner or later, whether it's now, whether it's a year from now, or whether it's 2 years from now. It eventually needs to happen so we can see how resilient is this, because, and I mentioned it to Josh earlier too, we saw the collateral ratio hit 800 and everybody was happy about that, right? And that's obviously in the good direction. We've got too much collateral. But what about now when we're now getting not enough collateral? So I just wanted to ask that question, kind of pick your brain on that. Josh, you have any other questions for Subcritical?
Yeah, I think what I notice with your content a lot is that it's not just educational, but it's insightful. You come at it from a very principled approach. It's clear what you believe and what long-term fundamentals that you're looking at and paying attention to, and I respect that a lot. I think that offers something different to educational content that I try to provide to my videos as well. And what I want to ask is, I don't think anybody believes that you're going anywhere. You've been here forever. You continue to create content. What's the long-term plan for your content creation journey? And let people know where they can find you.
Yeah. So overall, like, it's difficult with content creation, right? Because you get stuck in this niche of kind of what you have to stick to, which right now, obviously, is a lot of people who follow me on Twitter are probably going to come over to watch my breakdowns of the same thing. So it's going to be how to use an actual protocol in a tutorial. Whereas with Jay and stuff, we had been doing stuff on the side that people just aren't quite interested in yet. And you can see there's a spark there where it's slowly growing, which is the metaverse play and, getting on there and doing that stuff. Because we've seen projects like Spatial IO, Ready Player Me, they just continue to innovate and grow. And we're going to see a huge increase in people using avatars and, getting into all these virtual worlds. But is it here yet? Probably not. So my content I'm trying to evolve it so it combines the both right now, so that if that does ever take place, I can kind of grow into that also. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of content, you can check out my YouTube, or you can check out my Twitter, and I'll be sharing both of those.
And I also want to highlight here, he recently updated the actual name of your channel to reflect that growing audience, right? I think you were previously just it was Subcritical, or no, it was Cardano RealFi.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of broaden that up to Subcritical Crypto, right?
Yeah,
and
so I did change that up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so Cardano RealFi was the thing I was doing for the longest time, just because I felt on Twitter there wasn't like a presence in spaces for talking about RealFi and DeFi. So I kind of created that and started a community, and it grew, and a lot of people were super interested until nothing came out. Like all these projects that were supposed to come out didn't, so it kind of died out. And then it came back with the newer protocols actually coming online. But at that point, I decided, like, I need to change things up, especially as like my newsletter went from review to Substack. So now I have my weekly newsletter on Substack. I decided to change it up and just be like, all right, now I'm going to be Subcritical Crypto, where I can talk about an expanded amount of stuff rather than just being stuck in RealFi or DeFi.
Yeah, I think that was a solid move, and I completely agree with that. You don't want to get too niche down to where you don't feel like you can talk about anything else other than DeFi or one particular protocol or one particular subject, I should say. Mm-hmm. That said, man, I will have to commend you for what you're doing. Not only are you on Twitter, you're on YouTube, you've got your own newsletter, you're doing it all, man. So again, thank you for sparing some of your time here with us, man. I'm going to turn it back over to Josh if he's got any other closing questions. If not, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, man.
No, that does it for me. It's been a pleasure to have you on and have you share a little bit of your story. I hope we get to collaborate more in the future. I'm a big fan, so it's cool to have you here.
Yeah, we definitely will. I know everybody in the community, I think, is trying to collab more, which is great because I think we all need to get our heads together and kind of just see where we're all at in this market because I think a lot of us have a lot of different thoughts going on right now.
Truth.
Completely agree. So if anybody wants to follow you, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can either find me on Twitter, Subcritical TV, or you can find my Subcritical Crypto channel on YouTube. And then links to my newsletter and all that are there too if you want to be following up on what's going on Cardano.
Got it. Thank you so much for your time. If you guys want to stay up to date with the latest DeFi news, give Subcritical a follow, like, and subscribe. The links to his channels, Twitter, and his newsletter will be down in the description below. This is going to wrap it up for today's Cardano Consensus episode. We appreciate you all for tuning in. If you guys appreciated this content, go ahead and check out Josh's channel as well. And again, thank you both here for jumping on for this quick interview. Thank you both, and I will catch you guys in the next video.